Alright, we're back, of course, talking FF7. We're talking about the remake project and Xbox again. A topic that we've been discussing for like 4 or 5 years now at this point. This time, however, we have something a little more substantial because we have Hamaguchi actually discussing the kind of multi-platform strategy that Square Enix is going on. And when talking about, the remake project, he specifically mentions Xbox. I believe this would be the first time that we've had anybody that's like a dev with the remake project actually talking about the Xbox platform for the games. So this comes to us from Games Radar, and I actually meant to mention this in our last video because the article we looked at where Hamaguchi talked about what the team might be doing like post the remake project is a very short article, and I wanted to mention that I think we've seen this before from Games Radar, where they do like a bigger interview with somebody, like a dev for a game or something, but they break it apart into multiple articles, and that's kind of what we have here. So let's just hop right into it. In terms of Final Fantasy VII, there's nothing really we can say at the moment, but certainly I do want to bring Final Fantasy VII and the remake series to as many players out there as possible. So we want to create that situation, that environment, where more players can play the games in future, and we want to look in that direction. According to Hamaguchi-san, Square Enix's interest in being more flexible with its platform exclusivity is an indicator of a broader industry-wide shift. I think this goes beyond Final Fantasy VII. It really is a change in the industry, and I think certainly we're feeling right now that the industry has changed in terms of there being so many different platforms and environments that people play games on these days. Put out a game in one place and get most of the players coming to that game to play it on that platform. It's so much more diversified now, so I think that's probably why our CEO, Mr. Takashi Kiryu, made that decision to move more in the direction of multi-platform. That's just the way that the industry is going. As for Hamaguchi-san's own take on the matter, this is just a personal opinion now, but I've got an Xbox myself. I think it's a great hardware platform. I do like Xbox. So yeah, the main talking point is that last bit there, where he's talking about, the multi-platform strategy and specifying that he likes the Xbox platform, right? Kind of insinuating that he wants the remake project to come to Xbox inevitably. And really, what else is there? Remake is already on PlayStation and PC. We're obviously waiting on the PC release for Rebirth, but it's going to be there eventually. And same thing with like 16, right? 16 recently came to PC, already on PlayStation. Yoshida straight up said he wants to bring it to Xbox eventually, right? So Yoshida's very like blunt about this shit, which is kind of why I like Yoshida. My guy just doesn't really fuck around. He just kind of says what's on his mind for the most part. It's pretty cool. Besides PC and PlayStation, it's just Xbox and Nintendo, right? So when you're talking about bringing games to other platforms, it's one of those or both of them. Unless they want to attempt to bring the remake project to mobile phones at some point, which, I don't know how possible that is. I mean, they're doing a Final Fantasy XIV mobile version, which was announced relatively recently, which I don't know how that's even possible either, so who knows. But yeah, with Hamaguchi actually specifying Xbox, it seems more likely than ever now, at some point, that those games will come to Xbox. It's just a matter of when. I don't know. I don't know how the exclusivity deals work. We've talked about this a lot on the channel, I feel like they would already have the trilogy locked in on PlayStation exclusivity. It could be a lot shorter than it used to be, right? Because Remake's exclusivity deal was supposed to be like a year, and it took a lot longer than that. It was like a year and 8 months before it came to another platform, right? Dropped it on Epic at the end of 2021. It took till the summer of 2022 to come to Steam, so more than 2 years. And then with Final Fantasy 16, it was supposed to be like half a year, it's supposed to end at the end of 2023, right? But it took more than a year, a year and a couple months to come to PC this year. What we've seen with Rebirth is the exclusivity deal is only supposed to be a few months, right? It's supposed to end at the end of May or something this year, but we've not seen anything come from that yet. If we look at the recent Final Fantasies, Remake, 16, and Rebirth, we've seen the exclusivity windows get shorter and shorter, right? They've actually been cut in half if you actually look at it, because Remake was supposed to be a year, 16 was supposed to be 6 months, and then Rebirth is supposed to be 3 months, right? It's kind of interesting that I don't know why that's the case, but it is. Rebirth will be coming to PC quicker than the previous Final Fantasy games. Remake took a year and 8 months, 16 took a year and 2 months. So maybe, Rebirth will take a year. Maybe it'll be less than a year. Who knows? Hopefully we get a fucking announcement at the Game Awards. But with the shorter exclusivity windows, maybe the remake project will come to Xbox sooner than we think. The common belief amongst the community for the longest time now has been when the trilogy's done, right? When they finish all 3 games, then you can just sell all 3 games either as a package deal or individually, whatever, on Xbox, right? And maybe that is the case. Who knows? It would be kind of cool if somehow they could launch the 3rd remake game on all platforms. You can buy it on PS5, PC, Series X and S, and maybe whatever the new Nintendo console is. I doubt that's going to happen. Very, very highly unlikely that's going to happen. It's going to have some sort of timed exclusive with PlayStation, but it would be cool. And as I said on the channel quite a few times, I feel like the exclusivity is one of the things that's holding the remake project back the most, right? There's other things you can complain about if you're a hardcore OG FF7 fan. Maybe you don't like the combat. You don't like the new direction with the story, whatever, right? But the first game coming out only on one platform, right? And the fact that you had to wait a year and goddamn 8 months to buy it on anything else, and the first platform to drop it on was Epic. Obviously, the massive amount of Steam players were pissed. And if you are exclusively a Steam player when it comes to PC, you had to wait more than 2 years just to hop into the remake project. At that point, why would anybody give a fuck? By that point, I've either bought a PlayStation or I've watched Let's Plays of the game or something along those lines, right? It's 2 years old at that point. I don't give a fuck anymore. Who cares? And when I say that, I'm speaking for me, like as a consumer. Like I would have not gave a fuck at that point. Obviously, people bought the game on PC. They're gonna buy Rebirth on PC as well, but they're obviously not gonna have to wait 2 goddamn years for it to come to Steam this time. The point of bringing that up is that if the remake project could have been non-exclusive, or at the very least, like remake the first game, launched like on PC and PS4, specifically the Steam market, it would have probably been a whole different trajectory in terms of like sales and how popular the remake games are, right? Because obviously Rebirth suffered from being a PS5 exclusive, right? It sold worse than Remake, even though it's a significantly better game than Remake. How much would the games have sold better had they launched on Xbox as well? It's hard to say, right? A lot of people talk about how, you know, JRPGs don't do well on Xbox. I totally get that. The whole thing is I just want most games to be available to kind of everybody, just be able to play whatever game you want to on generally any platform you want to. And the best thing that could have happened for the Remake project is being sold on, you know, as many platforms as possible. That's how it does the best, right? Of course, they did burn a lot of people too by, you know, making you buy Remake on the PS4 and then instantly hop into the PS5 exclusive, right? Which it's the best thing for the Remake project, of course, to be on PS5 exclusively, but still, you did make people have to buy like another several $100 console just to play the sequel. Anyways, we've talked about this subject a lot over the years. This video is probably longer than it needed to be, but maybe sometime in the near-ish future, we'll finally hear about the Remake project coming to Xbox, and if that happens, we'll talk about it. Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe to if you guys are new. Social networks in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, -YT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Logain, or leave it like Cobain.